I stared at my phone screen a little longer than usual. Something about the numbers made me stop and look again. The amount in our account was not matching what I expected. I kept wondering why the balance looked different from my plan. I checked the numbers again. Then I went through them one more time. But the result stayed exactly the same. The numbers still showed the same problem in front of me. My name is Clara, and that was when I started asking myself how 1 month could fall apart so quickly. The morning started just like any other day. Everything around me looked normal, even though my thoughts were still quietly lingering on last night's numbers. Mira ate breakfast while telling me about her day at school. I listened and smiled, staying present with her small stories. Armin got ready to leave for work as usual. I watched him prepare while the morning routine continued around us. I smiled and nodded when he spoke to me. My expression stayed calm while another thought quietly stayed in my mind. But my mind was still focused on the numbers from the night before. The conversation around me continued while I kept thinking about them. While washing dishes, I remembered the bills that had just arrived. The familiar kitchen routine continued as I thought about them. While folding the clothes, I counted the money left in my head. My hands kept moving as I quietly went through the numbers again. That night, I opened my budget notes again. I looked through the numbers quietly, trying to understand what had changed. At first, I was searching for one big mistake. I thought there might be a single thing that caused the problem. But instead, I found many small expenses adding up. None of them looked serious on their own. One of those expenses was fixing the water pump. It was something the house suddenly needed. Another expense was medicine for Mira. It was a small thing, but it became part of the total. There were also extra transportation costs for Arman. They appeared little by little during the month. Nothing was excessive by itself. But everything arrived at the same time. I started feeling like I had failed. The budget I made suddenly felt like something I could not control. I kept asking myself, hadn't I already planned everything carefully? I thought I had prepared for the month ahead. I wondered again, hadn't I been careful enough? The question stayed in my mind while I looked at the numbers. The more I thought about it, the heavier everything felt. My thoughts kept circling around the same worries. I began blaming myself for what happened. I wondered if the problem was because of something I did wrong. Maybe I was not disciplined enough. That thought quietly appeared as I reviewed my spending. Maybe I was simply not good at managing money. The thought stayed with me as I sat quietly at the table. From the outside, nothing seemed different. The house looked the same as it always did, even though my mind was still occupied by the numbers. The house was still filled with Mira's cheerful voice. I listened to her stories while carrying the worry quietly inside. Arman was still joking during dinner like he usually did. His laughter made the evening feel normal. Even when I was distracted, I laughed along with them. For a moment, I tried to stay present with my family instead of thinking about the budget. But after everyone went to sleep, I opened the spreadsheet again. The quiet room brought my attention back to the numbers. I kept searching for a way to fix everything at once. The more I looked, the more complicated the numbers felt. The longer I stared at the numbers, the more tired I became. I stayed there, feeling the weight of trying to solve everything alone. One afternoon, I sat quietly at the dining table. My mind was still occupied with the budget problems I had been trying to understand. Then Mira came over carrying her small piggy bank. She walked toward me without knowing how much I had been worrying. She placed the little piggy bank in front of me. I looked at it and realized she was trying to help in her own way. If Mama needs money, you can use this. Her simple words surprised me. I gave a small smile when I heard her. But inside, I felt a quiet heaviness in my chest. I realized my worries were no longer only inside my thoughts. They had started to show to my child. In that moment, I understood something difficult. Even my hidden worries had reached the person I wanted to protect. That night, I didn't open my spreadsheet like I usually did. I simply sat quietly with my thoughts. I stayed there without checking numbers or searching for answers. For once, I let the silence fill the room. Then a thought quietly came to me. It appeared while I was sitting there in the stillness. I realized the biggest problem this month wasn't the numbers themselves. It was something deeper inside me. The hardest part was the panic I carried with me. I noticed how much it affected the way I saw everything. I kept reacting as if everything was falling apart. Every small problem felt much bigger in my mind. But the truth was simpler than my fear made it seem. We were only going through a difficult month. After Mira fell asleep, I sat down and talked with Armand. The house was quiet, and I finally let myself speak. I did not start by talking about the numbers. I started with what I was feeling inside. I told him about the fear I had been carrying. It was difficult to explain, but I tried. I also admitted the feeling that I had failed somehow. That thought kept appearing in my mind. Armand listened for a long time without interrupting me. His calm presence made the silence feel different. Then he said, "We are facing a problem, Clara." His words were simple and quiet. We are not the problem. For the first time that week, I felt like I was not carrying everything alone. The next morning, we sat together and made an emergency plan. I still felt the weight of the situation, but we started looking at it clearly. Before deciding anything, we tried to stop the panic. I noticed my thoughts becoming quieter as we focused on what was in front of us. We checked our actual situation instead of guessing. I looked through the details carefully with Armand beside me. We started by using the food we already had at home. I looked at our kitchen differently, noticing what was still available. We postponed some expenses that were not urgent. It felt like we were making small adjustments one by one. I also sold a few things we had not used for a long time. They were just sitting there, and now they could help us. The problem was still there, and we knew it was not completely fixed. But slowly, we felt like we had control again. That month did not go the way I expected. The plans I had carefully prepared slowly changed as the days passed. Our budget did fail that month. The numbers I counted on no longer matched what actually happened. But I discovered something more important through that experience. It was not only about the numbers I was looking at. A good financial plan is not one that never breaks. It is one that helps us recover when things do not go as planned. If this story feels familiar, I'm glad you are here with Clara's Family Journal. Have you ever had a monthly budget fall apart because of unexpected expenses?